What's up, guys? So today is 420. Literally, it's the 20th of April. So we're going to be obviously looking at a little bit of some cannabis culture. I'm looking at the pros and cons specifically here for its medical usage. We're not going to go full into recreational usage here. But we're going to look at the pros and cons of its medical applications, because I've got a article here which will be linked in the description as well, but before I get into that, I do sort of want to put out sort of the way I'm going to be sort of approaching this a little bit. So I definitely think that there's very extremes on either side, and I haven't seen very much as far as the middle ground is concerned. It seems like people are either for or against legalization, and again, we are specifically talking medical usage here, not recreational. But on the for legalization side, they make it out to be this miraculous cure-all, and I don't think that's the case. But conversely, on the against side, they make it seem like it's this gateway into just the worst things, and it's not the case either. So we're going to get into this article. As I said, this is the pros and the cons. So we've got a little sort of opener, and then we've got the pros and the cons. I did count there's one extra pro in this article than there is cons, but how big of a pro or con they are, I think, does kind of level it out a bit as well. So we've got the debate over the therapeutic benefits of medical marijuana is ongoing. While a number of states in the US have active medical marijuana laws and a growing number allow recreational use, the federal government continues to classify it as a Schedule 1 controlled substance. Not only does that make it illegal to possess, but it also limits medical studies into the potential benefits of cannabis. And here is my first problem, and I'm going to be taking one of the points that the extreme pro have, and that is that, well, I completely forgot what I was going to say myself. Quickly refresh my memory here. But yeah, no. So on the pro side, there are obviously videos and stuff out there where cannabis oil and that sort of things are applied to people having epileptic fits, for instance, and all of a sudden you'll see that the spasms pretty much almost instantly die down. Taking an anti-view on that for a split second, that could quite easily just be clever editing and you haven't really noticed it, but at the same time it does seem very unlikely if it's a one continued shot, unless they've sort of turned very suddenly to look at someone and very suddenly back, in which case you could quite easily do a very quick little edit in there, turning back say 5-10 minutes later when they have actually calmed down, sort of thing, and just edited the two motion blurred parts together. But yeah, my personal issue is that making it illegal and therefore limiting the medical studies into its potential benefits does mean that actually that's the point I was going to make, wasn't? Okay. my head is everywhere tonight. So the point that the Extreme Pro have that I was originally going to talk about before I forgot everything is that it's still illegal. Like, it was made illegal originally, and it's still illegal because Big Pharma can't really make any money off it, which is kind of ridiculous considering that there are oils and there's like body lotions and stuff. You can make hemp rope and clothing out of hemp from the fibers and stuff. Like, there's so many things that the plant can do, and there are a lot of things that the plant can do over and above just being smoked. You could just put a price tag on that, and suddenly Big Pharma can be making money off this as well. But the Extreme Pro like to say that it's like that because it does the job of some of the other things that they've found work, but that are slightly more addictive or whatever. So you have to be prescribed something else, and then you're making money off of that as well. So that you can curb the addiction there, and that the entire time Big Pharma just making money off you. But yeah, if you did find, all these different little compounds and stuff that marijuana has in it, like CBD, I believe, is the main chemical that's got the healing properties, and it's the THC that gives the high. So if you were able to just take out the CBD, CDB, or whatever combination of letters it is, I'm pretty sure it's down here lower, but whichever one of those is, you take that out and you put that into a variety of different products, whether it's some form of tablet that you have to take, or like a little edible sort of thing. You can have the oils for like putting on your feet and stuff. You could put it in lotions and that sort of thing, and make all of these products using just this one component. You'd still be able to be making the same amount of money without having all these other things that are going to be more addictive and potentially more dangerous in the long run. I'll talk about that in a moment. But continuing the article, with strong supporters on each side of the debate, the arguments for and against the legalization are hot topics. What are the debated pros and cons? The pros: legalization for medical use reasons is viewed favourably by many Americans, including members of the medical community and Congress. Some of the arguments for medical marijuana include it's effective in relieving nausea and vomiting. Studies have shown, and in this article, that is a link to the study, that pharmaceutical cannabis can decrease nausea caused by chemotherapy used to treat cancer and almost completely eliminate vomiting. It can relieve the spasticity of the muscles that is sometimes associated with multiple sclerosis and paralysis. It can help treat appetite loss associated with conditions such as HIV and AIDS and certain types of cancer. It can relieve certain types of chronic pain, including neuropathic pain. It's safer than some other medications prescribed to treat the same symptoms. For example, it may be used instead of opioids for pain management. Opioids are highly addictive, as I was saying before, and are typically not recommended for long-term use in treating chronic pain. It does not need to be smoked to be medically beneficial. Products such as cannabidiol, which is CBD oils, topical pain relief treatments, edibles, and other non-smoking applications are available. Like I said, you just make those, and you can be making the same money. I mean, if it really has to come to it, just put a higher price tag on these products if you want to be making that money and not be selling these other things, just put the price up a little bit maybe. If we're not having to buy 12 different prescriptions to solve one problem, people are going to be wanting to spend that extra money to have the thing, or they'll be able to afford it. As research continues, more of the individual compounds in cannabis are being found to be beneficial when isolated, such as CBD has been. These may lead to further advancements in medical treatment options with the high produced of compound typically known as THC, and has been used for centuries as a natural medical agent to good effect. So those are all the pros, and yeah, like I said, there's obviously a lot of ways in there where big pharma can sort of step in and be like, well, we can work with this and this and this if we're willing to sacrifice this, and yeah, I do however like that it did point out that it can help with the nausea, vomiting, and appetite loss and stuff associated with things like cancer and cancer treatments, but it itself does not, in those pros, did not say that it itself cured cancer. I have heard that one before, and I don't know. I was like, I don't know if I believe that. This isn't some miracle plant. It's got to have a limit to what it can actually do. But yeah. So the cons. For every person that advocates, there is another who argues against it. Some of their arguments include that frequent use can seriously affect your short-term memory, and it can, while under the influence. And that's, I think, I did a little bit of research on the first 3 of these cons, because I wanted to actually find out if these weren't just like purely opinion-based sheep things. I am obviously a little bit on the pro side here, but it can affect your short-term memory while you're under the influence, and I believe that that's because of the high that you get from THC. So if you are using a purely CBD derived oil or something on your feet simply to just stop a spasm or to alleviate pain or nausea or whatever it might be, because you're not smoking it and getting all the compounds, you can sort of kind of avoid this particular one to an extent. Frequent use can impair your cognitive ability, again, while under the influence. If it was going to impair your cognitive ability so much, I don't think it'd be something that is quite famously used by a lot of very creative people. You can fill in the blanks for yourself on who those people are, I'm sure. Sure, mentioning this and then creative people in the same sentence, you automatically have 2 or 3 people that you already can think of that use it, regardless of the level of fame they have. But you need some quite good cognitive ability to be able to be that creative for a living, and so if it was going to impair your cognitive ability that badly, if you use it too often or too much, then you would see a decline in quality of the art and stuff that these creatives are putting out into the industry. So I don't think that it's not a thing that it just gives you. It it's not like, oh, you're taking this, so now you have impaired cognitive ability. It's more or less like similar to alcohol, except without it can severely ruin your liver and give you actual alcohol poisoning and stuff. But like while you're drunk, you are inhibited, and therefore it's not a good idea to be driving. Same thing, if you have a bit of a high, it's probably not a good idea to go driving because you're not thinking clearly, and therefore in that sense your cognitive ability is impaired. The third point, smoking anything, whether it's tobacco or marijuana, can seriously damage your lung tissue. This one I found to actually be kind of wrong, and I will come back to the little opening paragraph for the cons where it says some of the arguments from the opposition include. So these could be simply just opinion based, and I think this one is, because they did a study, and in that study, I'll see if I can find it and I'll link it as well, but in that study they found that, and they attributed it to the way in which marijuana is often smoked through a bong and stuff, but they think that because of the way it's smoked rather than straight through a cigarette sort of thing, is it actually works your chest muscles and like your diaphragm and everything, because you've got to sort of, there's no way of getting around this without it sounding suggestive, but because of how you have to suck and it expands your chest and you're filling your air with your lungs with a lot more sort of air and stuff, is that whatever damage the smoke itself is doing, you're sort of it's not going to be as bad as with tobacco smoke, where you're not really breathing in that hard and you just getting your lungs filled with smoke, whereas with using a bong sort of thing, it actually expands your chest out a lot more, and so you end up getting better sort of developed muscles and stuff, and therefore in sort of a long run sort of thing, you get sort of a less of an effect on, like, physically on your body as you would just having a cigarette. I will try to find that study because I don't think I explained it properly, and I'll link it below. Smoked marijuana contains cancer-causing compounds. Now this one I was like, I don't think this is correct. I'm pretty sure I've heard that it you know, like, because it's been used for so long throughout the centuries and whatnot, I don't think if it had actually, I mean, I say this and start thinking about tobacco, but I don't think that people would have continued to use it, especially when they started using it, if people were dying because of it, sort of thing. Like, if they found out that this plant's killing us, maybe they would have stopped using it way back when. But when it's basically kind of the same as when you, like, if you're in a city with a lot of smog, that pollution is going to get into your lungs because it's in the air that you're breathing, and that's going to do damage. Because our lungs are meant to process air, so I don't know so much about the actual plant containing cancer-causing compounds, but it definitely is, you are filling your lungs with smoke, and that's not good. The chemical compound of the two in question here, marijuana and tobacco, are in some ways very similar, and in others completely opposite each other. For instance, marijuana does not have nicotine, and therefore it is not addictive in that way. It does give you a high because of THC, but with no nicotine in there, you're not getting addicted to it. And I did see somewhere that tar was in it, and I'm just there thinking, how does tar get into a natural product? So I mean, I'm not a chemist. I don't know if tar is simply just the common name for a particular chemical that can be in things. But yeah, that is one of the arguments, is that it contains cancer-causing compounds, and I personally don't 100% believe it. I'll sit sort of at a 75 to 80% believability, because I do think there are parts that it's like not addressing just by saying it in so many words, sort of thing. Marijuana carries a risk of abuse and addiction. Hasn't been, it's not in this, so I'm gonna throw in that it's the gateway drug as well, which I mean, there are a lot of gateway drugs if you really want to look at it. For instance, going out and having a drink with friends, particularly if you're like, you've travelled to, if you're like me and you live in a smaller community and you've travelled to a large city, and all your mates start getting a little bit intoxicated, having a few too many drinks, and then they start getting on all the other drugs. In that case, the alcohol was the gateway drug, so it really sort of depends. Some people will smoke, and then because they've got other people that smoke, that will then lead them to go and hang out with those people more often, which could go, into the same sort of thing, where they then go in there drink, and in which case, for that scenario, it was the tobacco, and like, the gateway drug is really just sort of what starts you off. If you decided that you're just gonna start off right at the deep end, and sort of work your way backwards, then whatever it was you started with was your gateway. But the risk of abuse and addiction, and again, take this with as much salt as you want, but I have people that I know that are very pro, far more pro than I am, who will tell you that you cannot get addicted to it. And again, like I said, there's no nicotine in it, which is what tobacco has in it, so you're not getting addicted to that. But by the same token, I can definitely see how your brain could come to associate the high of a THC with just generally feeling good. And if you don't, in general, feel good, your brain will be like, well, that thing made us feel good. And then psychologically, you become addicted to feeling good, which is just a byproduct of. So I can see how addiction would come around in that way. As far as like abusing the substance, I don't think that there's any, and again, grain of salt, and definitely do your own research on it, but I don't think it's actually a dangerous. I'm not sure if there's like, if you use this much it becomes dangerous, or if it's just sort of a it's not dangerous at all sort of thing. Like, I don't know. So in the same way as like you can abuse alcohol and get alcohol poisoning, or you can, smoke 20 packets of cigarettes a day and develop emphysema really quickly. I don't know if there's a similar thing for marijuana, so do your own research for that bit. And then the last two, that it's been implicated in a high percentage of automobile crashes and workplace accidents, which just goes back to what I was saying before, with the cognitive impairment. If you have taken any substance that is going to, how do they put it, alter your perception of the world, and by giving you a high, even if you don't see bright lights and paralysis demons, you are not thinking straight, so don't drive. And you probably shouldn't be taking it at work and getting a high at work. So if it has been implicated in a high percentage of automobiles, if that's an actual fact and is therefore not able to be disputed, then just approach that with some common sense and don't be using it if you're going to be in that sort of a situation. And if you have taken it and then suddenly, oh, it's an emergency, I need to drive, yeah, like, that's really sort of a try and find a way around it sort of thing. For instance, if it's a medical emergency and you need to drive your friend to the hospital or whatever, maybe just call an ambulance. Or, yeah. There should always be a way around it. And the last one is, I mean, the way it's written is a fact, but it's very easy to dispute this one. Marijuana is illegal under federal law. It is classified as a Schedule 1 drug in the Controlled Substances Act alongside heroin. This classification says that the substance have no currently accepted medicinal value. And I'd like to just bring attention to the word currently. No currently accepted medical value. Because it's a controlled substance and its ability to be studied for medicinal purposes is very restricted. But if we go to testimonial videos the internet over, you will find quite quickly the medicinal value that it actually does have. And if it didn't have any medicinal value, when you go into your there are shops, I know there are, and I can't think of what they are. But there's like, I've seen it in like soaps and that sort of stuff, where the whole point of it being in that particular product is to be its particular agent to help relieve pain. So like Radox, you have like muscle soothe bath salts and stuff. I've seen that same kind of a thing as far as like soaps and body washes and that sort of thing is concerned, where it's the pain medication thing. It's got some CBD oil in it to help alleviate pain. So it might not officially have any recognized or accepted medicinal value. That doesn't mean it doesn't have any. Heroin, however, is made by using dangerous chemicals. Is it heroin that they make? No, it's crystal meth that they make in Breaking Bad. But one way or the other, you get to sort of see that they have to cover their entire bodies to make that stuff because of how dangerous it is. Alright, and so this article then finishes off, and I'm going to finish this video off with this. In the past, clinical trials to evaluate the effectiveness of marijuana to treat certain conditions have been restrictive and limited. As medical marijuana becomes more prevalent throughout the world, researchers are doing more studies. However, expert reviews of current research continue to advocate that more studies are needed. Many of the hurdles involving controlling the quality and dosing of cannabis with what is legally available to researchers. Additionally, a number of current studies are not controlled clinical trials in which a placebo or alternative medicine is used. Without more of these comparative studies, scientific evidence on the therapeutic... Let's start that entire sentence again. Without more of these comparative studies, scientific evidence on the therapeutic effects of cannabis will remain in question, and until it's downgraded from a Schedule 1 drug, widespread clinical trials are unlikely to happen in the US. But if we really want a definitive answer as to whether marijuana is valuable for symptom management, it needs to be evaluated using the same standards as other medications, and realistically, that's what we should be looking at as far as legalization is concerned. Because God knows, with having epilepsy and I've got lower back issues because of a past job, just ruined my back. I will make a story time about that at some point. But the pain relief that this promises is kind of the only reason I would be looking forward to it. I wouldn't be going out and using it for recreational use every day. But you know, some oil in a body butter or something that I can just put on the small of my back to alleviate some pain there and to help manage my epilepsy and stuff would be golden. But that's all from me. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Again, links are in the description as well. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell as well. And if you want to see more videos from me and be notified when I upload new ones. And until next time, guys, keep your head screwed on.